Welcome back to another video. In this one, we're gonna look at a very cool new jig from Northland. I'll show it to you right here. These are the stand-up tungsten jigs. There's a short shank and then there's a long shank. And these are really cool. We're actually gonna hop in the boat with Bro and catch some walleyes on these new jigs. But in addition to that, we're gonna break down some of the characteristics of what make these really cool jigs that you really should check out. It's tungsten, stand-up design. But without further ado, I'm gonna pass it off to Bro.
All right, I love these tungsten stand-up jigs. The cool thing about them is when they lay on the bottom, they stand right up, and they're just great for getting these all different size walleyes. Today we're kind of fishing for eaters. I'll swing them in. You know, I like to check my line. Whoa, come here, baby. There it is right there. Coming in hot, coming in hot. Look at that. Love that shape. That's a cool shape, and it only exists at Northland. Tungsten. And it's got a special hook that really zips him good. Right through the bone of his nose. Here, you could keep that leech. That's fine. But let me tell you something. That shape right there is great. It stands up, and when they say it's an eighth or a quarter, it truly is. They really check that stuff, and that's tungsten with cool colors. Got it on a little loop knot there, but love that jig already. Every time you get a bite, you set the hook, you hook the fish. Super sharp, sticky sharp hook. Love it. That's a stand-up. And when you use it as a head on a plastic, it's just perfect. What a great design. Truly a unique design in the world of fishing. Northland's tungsten stand-up heads. Love it.
All right, next up, Bro is gonna share a few more details on why he really likes this new jig.
The stand-up jigs fish perfect, and they got a really good big hook for big walleyes. And even here I'm using an 1/8 ounce, and I'll go around the motor here. But their shape is really nice, and the fish love it. A lot of color. It's got a wide front, so you can see it on forward viewing. And I could say it's got that really nice hook, and it's tungsten. So whether you're using it as a stand-up but on a leech, it's got a good, it drops straight down. This is probably a little heavy to lift, but I'm gonna heave. Okay, there we go, love it. Let me show you that jig here. Look at that. Their mouths are so bony. I love lures that are truly sharp and are the weight that they're supposed to be. But that shape is nice. So it drops just like that when it's got a leech. Or if it's got plastics, it butts right up to it because it's flat in the back. But it sits like this in the water, and that leech flaps up above him. I'm gonna let this, there you go, buddy. So, really cool shape. Right there. And you can see it there against the lake. Love that. And look at how it sits. Just perfect, ready to get the roof of a fish's mouth. You gotta check it out. And that little bait keeper, not only does that keep plastics on, it keeps leeches on. And let me show you how I jig with a leech using this stand-up head.
Now, as Bro mentioned, he's gonna talk a little bit about his jigging cadence, how he's working this jig to catch fish. But first, before he does that, he's gonna demonstrate how he likes to hook a leech onto his jig so he can catch more fish with it and just get more bang for his buck.
Okay, I'm gonna show you how I hook a leech on a stand-up head. So instead of just going through the sucker, like right there and then through, you might as well just throw that leech. Where I fish on Winnie leech cast, northern Minnesota, they're gonna eat that off your hook and you can have a chance, especially in the middle of summer. But you could just hook them real quick through the lips and then turn and roll it in. You flatten the leech out. Then what I do is I pop it on the bait saver. Got good hook exposed, the leech is healthy, and you could really whip it out. And the nice thing about that, now I could take this thing and I could throw it really good. And leeches are like, they're fragile. They tear so easy and they're expensive. So I ain't gonna lose that leech until there's a fish on my line. So let it drop in, and I'm using an 1/8 ounce. We're fishing in 13 to 14 feet of water here. And so I'm doing some light double hops like that. and then never stop reeling. Hop, hop. Sometimes on rocks you get a little bit of algae and it'll foul up your jig, so I let it just touch for a second and I hop it up, and when it falls, it's falling down, and that leech is like a kite tail. So that's what I really love about these stand-up heads. Just amazing. And then even sometimes if they're real finicky, real fussy, a finesse way to jig is to drop the rod tip real slow and raise it like this, where you're slowly turning it. It's kind of like calling a jigging motion called watching paint dry. But if you notice, leeches in the water move very efficiently, very slow. And then with one little hop every now and then, get their attention, get them on the hunt, get them on the chase, then really slow. And also watch what your fish are doing. Whatever electronics you're using, if you're using forward viewing, if you're using side imaging, I've got my hummingbird out here. No matter what, see how the fish are acting towards it. They will tell you what they want. So watch this in the water as I'm jigging it. Watch it fall. That jig head straight down. So when you're jigging it, look at that. And then the wiggle of the leech is fantastic. And that's what I love about this. That's going to be just a killer bait, and I've caught a lot of fish on it already.
Next up, we're gonna hit on the topic of color. Bro is gonna share a few of his go-tos, some of his favorites, some that you may wanna look at if you're heading onto the website to pick up a few jigs. So I'm gonna pass it off to Bro on the topic of color.
Here are some of the colors I really use on a daily basis in northern Minnesota. Not just limited to these colors, but these are probably my tops. I really like this blue and white, or moonlight they call it. And you see it's got a little orange dot there. It's glow. It's a perfect stand-up head. So there's one of them. And watermelon. Hey, who doesn't like watermelon? I like watermelon. Do you like watermelon? Look at that color. That thing's fantastic. That catches fish everywhere. And on Leech Lake, they will eat that. So, in every other lake in between. Parrot, anything named after a bird, it's got to be colorful and it's got to be really good. Parrot's a really top color. And then, of course, gold. That gold with that little bit of black, I just cut it off my hook here. You see that black, see that little orange? That is a deadly color everywhere in the Midwest, right there. And what I like about this one is not just solid gold, it's got character. That black, that orange, this is a killer on Lake of the Woods, Rainy Lake, all the lakes in Minnesota, all the way down to the South Dakota border. I've used that color and killed them. And this is in a longer shank stand-up, so that's really neat. The cool thing about that, you can get that hook farther back in a minnow, crawler, or leech, or plastic to get the walleyes that are biting light. Cool colors, those are some of my picks. I hope you like them. You should try them.
Another really important topic, arguably more important even than color, is what weight you're using. So Bro's gonna talk now about which weights he's using in different scenarios when he's using this stand-up tungsten jig.
You know, the best thing is Northland's making these wonderful jigs in all different sizes. So stand-up heads in 1/8 ounce, in 1/4 ounce, in 3/8 ounce. In the spring, I'm going to use an 1/8 ounce. In the fall, I like quarters. I like fast fall, especially if I'm using eye candy jig crawler, or if I'm using an eye candy minnow. Oh, this one's not done yet. This one's got some fight to him. Okay, and I'm going to swing him up, just like Bassmaster here. No nets. Oh boy! I guess I got strong line there. That is so much fun. Look at that thing. You know, that leech was half that size. He kind of ripped it up, but the neat thing about that is you could have different sizes for different times of the year. And I'm gonna let him go. There you go. So you get your leech pinned on there, but imagine, you know, you could actually use plastics, and that little barb there keeps your bait on there. That one's shredded. So in the spring, 1/8 ounce quarters, you know, because you're in shallow water chasing post-spawn walleyes. And then in the summertime, I'll go back to really light 1/8 ounces again. Then in the fall, quarters. I want that thing to fall fast, triggering bites, plastics, big minnows, leeches, chunk of crawler, and then take the same one when it's really, really late fall and that water gets below 35 degrees. I'm gonna go really light again. And then you can go super shallow. Fish 2, 3, 4 feet of water on the inside of the weed line, and that's gonna be a hot lure. Love that. The stand-up jig from Northland Tackle is a 10 out of 10 in my book right now. I love it.
Now obviously this stand-up design is ideal when you're fishing live bait, just because live bait doesn't necessarily stand up on its own per se, unlike the eye candy plastics. So having that stand-up jig design does help promote getting that bait off the ground a little bit. But with that being said, this is also a very good jig for artificials. So with that in mind, Bro is going to demonstrate how he likes to rig on, for instance, a number of different plastics, but in this case, the jig and leech onto this particular jig.
I'm going to take this tungsten Northland stand-up head and I'm going to put on a jig and leech. So there's a white jig and leech. I love that thing. Look at that. So these could be a little bit difficult sometimes. So take it the flat way, where the eye of the hook, face it towards it, and then just before you do that, just kind of look to see where it's at. It doesn't have to be perfect. You're not going to get graded on this. So just slide it in there. So just slide it on in there. And so make sure you got it flat. Push it out. We're almost done. Then take the collar of that plastic and slide it over that barb. Love this stuff. It's super strong. There you go. And then pull it back to straighten it out. Look how strong that stuff is. Wow. Now it is hooked perfect. You can see it's the wide side. And when you jig that, it's going to flap. And just like the old Northland bloodworms, it's a flat tail, so it's going to paddle around. I can't wait to cast that because I know the result. It's going to catch a fish. So that's how you hook a jig and leech on a stand-up tungsten jig head.
All right, that's about all we got for you in this video. Make sure to head over to the website, northlandtackle.com, and check out some of these stand-up tungsten jigs. They're really awesome jigs. I've been using them some this year since I got them. Very effective, awesome hook, something that I'm definitely going to be using a lot in the coming months and coming years ahead. So I'm pretty excited about this jig, not gonna lie. But if you enjoyed this video and you learned something, make sure to hit that little red subscribe button down below. So we have a lot more awesome content coming in the future. And until then, we will see you in the next one.